Well, good evening. Good evening, everyone. You got it tuned in once again to another BXP Productions with me, DAT. As you know, that's my initials, Derek A. Tyson. Well, I'm just so excited. Thank you all once again for tuning in because I tell you it's gonna be live. It's gonna be fresh. Um, Good evening, Miss Dolores Hunt. Amen. Log in, share, because I'm telling you, I got a great surprise for you. But first, before I even get started, I want to thank everyone that tune in. Follow me on all social media networks. Follow me on my YouTube channel under BXP. Also, follow me on my Facebook page, which you are on. You know, I'm on Periscope, Instagram. So go follow my pages because look here, y'all, it keeps you updated on what's going on and staying connected to what's getting ready to happen because I'll be able to update you on the book release. Been writing movie scripts, so I got some great things in store for you guys. But I want to thank you on my last interview with Eric Young Dictionary, Scribe City. That's McCain. That's right, Eric McCain. Thank you all for your love and support. A couple of weeks ago when he was here on the show, look here, y'all had 700 views, and I'm just excited about that, and I appreciate once again the love and support. But today I'm excited because it's one of my friends all the way from Detroit, Michigan, as my special guest. She's a book author. Let me tell you something, and her title is Married to an Addiction. And I tell you, you're going to be in for a treat and a surprise because she's going to come forth and share with you some great information about her book. And I want you all to show your love and support as I'm getting ready to bring her on, Marietta Mills Jones. How you doing?
Hey, I am awesome. How are you?
Doing great, doing great. I thank you so much.
Good.
Look here, I just appreciate your time and being on here with us and sharing with us. And I'm telling you, I'm excited about you sharing the information and your testimony in this book. So
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I know everybody's going to be blessed by what you're getting ready to share with them. So I want you to really explain to what actually birthed this book that we have. Look, I have it in my hands. It's entitled Married to an Addiction. And look here, y'all know how I like it. I bring people on here that I know because I purchased the book and I like to be a blessing to people in their business and their books and their ministry, whatever the case may be. And I want you guys because to be a blessing to her and support it. I'll be giving you the information across the screen to where you can, purchase the book. And I guarantee you to be a blessing, especially after you get ready to hear how this book was birthed. Amen. So, Marietta, I want you to go ahead and let's start it off with how did you come about married to an addiction?
Okay, well, first of all, thank you, my brother Derek. I love him to life. The book came about from my marriage. I originally started writing the book after I got married and my husband started, or either he had a drug addiction. So initially, the book was supposed to journal us going through whatever it is we were going to go through. And I was just going to write about the ups and downs about being married to someone in addiction and pretty much looking to kind of just journal from where we were at that point where the drug addiction started in the marriage up until the point where he was totally delivered. We was walking together in victory and all these different things. But in the midst of that, maybe about four, or either I'll say when we got married, the drug addiction started a year into the marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And um, about, we were married 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of that 4 years, he was actually murdered because of the drug addiction. It was a drug deal that had gone bad.
Wow.
And what ended up changing the title from Married to an Addiction with the letter 2O, I changed it to Married to an Addiction with the number 2, because in the midst of that, I learned that I had my own addiction.
Wow.
And it wasn't an addiction to drugs, but because I wanted to keep everything together in our marriage, I lost who I was. I became everything to him. My whole life was surrounded by taking care of him and making sure that he was okay, that, Marietta no longer existed. And even after he passed, it took me years in order to regain who I was, because like I said, I gave so much into him. And what I also realized in the midst of while I was writing the book was that when you give yourself so much over to someone else and you lose yourself, I had to actually question what was my motive that was driving me to do a lot of things that I did in our marriage. And the book kind of talks about some things that were out of character for me to do, like going into the drug house and getting my husband, putting myself literally in danger in situations where I could have been killed. But the thing about what the book kind of talks about, mainly not just about his addiction, but also looking at the motive behind some of the stuff that I did.
Right.
And I had to ask myself some hard questions. And in the book, I was very transparent that I realized that some of the motive behind me doing some of the stuff that I did to save my marriage was because when we got married, a lot of people didn't agree with it because my husband had just got out of jail, out of prison, actually. And so people were like, well, why are you getting married so soon? I wanted to be married. I wanted to be married. So that was one of the motivations behind why we moved so fast. And then the other thing was because people questioned why we got married so soon, that when this drug addiction happened, I had to cover up a lot of stuff.
Right.
And I didn't want to lose face that maybe they were right that we got married too soon. So I could let people know what was going on. So I'm out all times of the night trying to find him, making sure that he went to work, making sure that nobody knew what was going on in our house. So in the midst of that, of me being everything to him, I lost who I was. And it literally took me almost 10 years to get back to who I knew Marietta was, or who God created me to be.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a journey, and I'm thankful for the journey. Don't want to go through it again. Will not go through it again. But it was a journey for me, and it was a lot that I learned about me. So as much as I look at what my husband went through, and he was a good man. So I'm not to say that because he was, he had the drug addiction, that a lot of stuff that I did that he made me do. Because most of the time he would tell me, don't come out looking for me. Don't, put yourself in harm's way. But I had to make my marriage look good. I could not let people know what I was going through. So I had to make sure he was okay. But in the midst of trying to make sure he was okay, I was all messed up.
Wow.
Totally messed up. Totally.
Wow. So it's a lot that was said, because I do understand when you try to cover up, people don't realize how much of a burden it can be, especially when you have to go through in your mind what other people are thinking, and they don't realize the fight and the struggle mentally, because it then brings about depression and anxiety and everything. And so the great thing that I'm really grateful for, and I know you are, is that you survived it. And a lot of people would not have been able to make it through it. 10 years, of, losing yourself and trying to get everything back. And so that's why I thought it was very important, and we just had to do it. And y'all know she's on all the social media. She's on Facebook and Instagram as well. And as you see it, you can go to Barnes and Noble and Amazon to purchase the book, because there's an awesome testimony in this book. And for her to have overcome and covering up what she had to cover up. And even when I read the beginning of it, it was interesting to hear how you had to find out about the death of your late husband. And it was like, wow. And then how you tried to, it was hard to accept, because you
Yeah.
know, you didn't want to believe it. So pushing through all that, and I'm quite sure a lot of people don't understand how to even deal with the grieving process. And
Right.
you're a strong woman of God. And I think, what are some of the things that even helped you deal with the grieving process and all the things that you had to endure with this?
Actually, the main thing was this book. And the reason why I'd say that is because now my husband passed in '09,
Hmm.
and I published the book in last year, so that was 10 years since he passed.
Hmm.
That whole time I never dealt with my grief. I
Wow.
never dealt with it. I always, whenever I talked about my husband, I always, or either if I talked about his death, I always, oh, my husband was a good man, regardless to whatever he did, he still was a good man. And, I know he's with the Lord, regardless of the struggle that he had with the drugs. I
Hmm.
never dealt with me, because I never looked at my part in what I endured. I always looked at, he had the drug addiction. He was the one that was going through something. I never realized that I was going through anything. But
Wow.
then when I started writing the book, I was like, wait a minute, I was a little jacked up. and
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
I needed healing, because
Right.
there were so many areas, because again, I was so engulfed in taking care of him, and even after his death, protecting his name, protecting his image, that I never dealt with my grief until I started writing this book, to where
Wow.
I realized, okay, um, he did some stuff and it hurt me. And
Hmm.
also, what helped me with my grief was because it had been 10 years since he passed.
Hmm.
And when I tried to have relationships, and all of those feelings of abandonment, of feeling like I was left alone, or just feelings that I had while I was married, and all that stuff
Hmm.
started coming back up. And I was like, what's going on here? And then I wasn't able to have a healthy relationship because I didn't deal with my past. So
Right.
as I was writing the book, I was like, okay, you had trust issues. Why?
Hmm.
You have insecurities. And I never was like that. I've always been a confident woman, not arrogant, but confident in who I know God had created me to be. But
Hmm.
I had lost all of those little bits and pieces. I lost all of that in my marriage, but I never dealt with it. But as I began to write the book, because again, like I said, initially the book was supposed to be just journaling
Hmm.
about what was going on with my husband. It had nothing to do really with me specifically.
Hmm.
But after he passed, and the Lord was showing me that you have an addiction as well. So it wasn't just his story. This is your story too. So as I started writing it, that's when the healing began.
Wow.
And that's when God started revealing me to me. And then not only that, it showed me just how much God loved me.
Right.
Because I looked at some of the stupid stuff and dumb stuff that I did, and I'm like, it wasn't nothing but the grace of God
Wow.
that was on my life. Because again, you know me, I'm a minister. I
Hmm.
know the word of God.
Hmm.
I've read it, I've preached it, I've teached it, gone to Bible school, Bible college, did all the whole 9 yards. So how did I get here? Because
Hmm.
there were even times when I was dealing with my husband after he passed, you know, no, before he passed, I had to even ask God. I know what the word of God says, to trust me,
Hmm.
trust him. I had to ask God, what does that look like? Because I
Hmm.
had lost, my vision. I didn't lose touch with God. I knew to call out to him,
Hmm.
but I had just lost myself so much that I had to ask God, what does it look like in this situation to trust you? Because I didn't know.
Hmm.
So it wasn't until maybe 3 or 4 months before he passed that I was like, okay, I trust you. And I just put him in God's hands. But as far as the total healing for me, it took me almost 10 years because I was stuck because I never dealt with my part.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't own my part of some of the stuff that I did that caused me to be in a place that I was.
Mm-hmm.
So it took me some years.
Wow.
Years. Yeah.
And I think even when I looked at the part, and I think you can correct me if I was wrong, when I seen the part of remembering that, I think that night when everything happened, I think he asked you to go with him to take the ride. Was that?
Yeah. Yeah. And that was another thing that kind of, now to think about it, that was another instrumental part of it that kind of kept me from looking at me to get healed for me, because I had guilt. I
Mm-hmm.
had a lot of guilt because I wondered, maybe had I went with him,
Mm-hmm.
and we weren't going to do drugs. He wasn't going to take me to do drugs or anything like that. But what he
Mm-hmm.
wanted to do was, that night that he left, he said he wanted to start all over again. He wanted to start a fresh life, wanted to just forget about his past. And he literally took all of his clothes out of the closet,
Mm-hmm.
put it on the couch, took his shoes and everything. He said, let's take them over to his nephew James' house.
Mm-hmm.
And it was maybe like 2 or 3 in the morning. And I'm like, it's too, it's too late to be, trying to wake him up to take all this stuff over to his house.
Mm-hmm.
And in the midst of that, when I'm telling him, no, we're not going to do it, we'll do it tomorrow, he goes out, me not realizing that he was gone. And that's when the next day the police told me they found his body in the car. But just the guilt of, what could I have done?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if I had gone with him, maybe it wouldn't have happened.
Mm-hmm.
So the guilt of that, just the guilt of, what could I have done
Right.
to make this whole situation different? Because before, whenever he did drugs, I kind of knew when the drugs were calling him, because he would have certain mannerisms and he would do certain things, and I would try to distract him
Right.
from going out, or hide the keys to the car, because at that time, towards the end, we were only down to one car. So it was different things that I knew to do. So I'm thinking in my mind, what did I miss?
Mm-hmm.
What did I not do to keep him from going out that night?
Mm-hmm.
And so that whole guilt engulfed me as well, to kind of blind me from seeing, number one, there was nothing that I could have done, because the addiction that he had was his addiction.
Right.
And I had nothing to do with it at all.
Mm-hmm.
And my position as his wife, because I chose to stay with him, was to love my husband, but to hate
Mm-hmm.
the addiction. And once I came to that realization again, some years later, that's when the Lord started healing me and showing me that there was nothing I could have done. There
Mm-hmm.
was nothing I could have done at all. And it wasn't my fault. The only thing that I was responsible for were the actions that I took, as far as going into the drug houses. And in some instances, being an enabler. Not that I condone the drug use, but when I got to the place where I learned to, by the grace of God, to love my husband, hate the addiction, I had to walk that walk to make sure he knew that I loved him,
Right.
and constantly remind him who God said that he was,
Mm-hmm.
and keep echoing that in his ear and in his heart so that he wouldn't forget.
Right.
But also had to take a stance that, okay, you're not going to keep doing this and bringing this in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he didn't do drugs in the house, but you're not going to keep bringing, coming into the house and be just patting you on the back saying, oh, baby, I love you. Yeah, I love you, but dude, I'm
Right.
not happy.
Right.
If you can't get a ride home, it was to a point where you're going to have to walk home. I'm not coming out there to get you anymore.
Right.
So I had to, learn to do that,
Mm-hmm.
in the midst of all of that. And again, when I realized and God showed me, there was nothing I could have done.
Right.
Everything that I did, especially towards the end, which was to love him
Mm-hmm.
and to remind him who God called him to be,
Mm-hmm.
was all that I could have done.
Right. And what I thought about as well, even though I know you said what could you have done if you had went, but I also am thankful to what if you did go and you both could have been in the same situation and then be grieving over you. That would be very hurtful and painful. So at the same time, even as I was reading it, I was thankful, you know,
Oh, yeah.
because God has His plan, and whatever it is, He has in store for us. And I was like, man, this could have went a whole nother route as well, because you do play that through your mind. If I was there, it could have went this way, it could have went this way. But one
Right.
thing, as I was reading it, is being thankful, that you could have been there, and like we said, like I just said, could have went a whole nother route, and
Yeah.
that could have been, a whole nother mind
Yeah.
grieving thing, and as well. So I'm
And
thankful.
even in some of the situations, and I kind of talk about it in the book, that when I was going into drug houses, there
Hmm.
was one time my husband told me, Marietta, why are you coming in here? Because the one time I went into one house, they literally had shotguns like right behind the door. And I'm coming into these houses. And then there was another house on Burke Road in Detroit where they had the window open, and I'm telling them to, let my husband out. I know he's in there. I'm
Hmm.
putting my arm through the window and unlocking the door and opening the door and walking into these houses.
Wow.
So it wasn't necessarily that, he could have brought me into dangerous situations. I took myself into dangerous situations
Right.
because
Right.
I was a church girl. I knew nothing about that whole life, nothing about any of that stuff. So in my mind, when my husband came home from being high and he's sitting on the couch crying that this isn't the life that he wants, and he couldn't understand why, that now that he's married, he's got a family, and he's happy, how did he end up going back to that lifestyle?
Hmm.
And so in my mind, I got to help you.
Right.
You're telling me you don't want this, but you're still going out there. So I got to help you.
Hmm.
And then when he started realizing the danger and the extent that I was going to, he was like, Marietta, you got to stop this. When he was in his right mind, he was like, I don't give a care if I call you and tell you they got a gun to my head. Do not come out to get
Hmm.
me. And so I was like, okay, well, stop calling me. Which he did,
Right.
which he did. But it wasn't just the danger that he could have put himself in. I put myself in a lot of situations that,
Hmm.
again, going back to what was my motive.
Hmm.
I said that I loved him, and I did it because I did love him. At the same time, I had to save face that my marriage was going to be right. Even if
Hmm.
it wasn't right, it was going to look like it was right.
Hmm.
So my motive for a lot of stuff that I did, it was out of love. And in my
Hmm.
other interview, my girlfriend reminded me it was misguided
Hmm.
love. But yeah, my motive was more so, again, I wanted to be married. I'm a minister.
Right.
I'm supposed to have a good marriage.
Hmm.
I'm not supposed to be with someone that's on drugs or going through the different things that I'm going through. Huh, I'm
Right.
Marietta. I ain't supposed to be dealing with all of this stuff.
Right. That's how I understand exactly what you're talking about on that one. And I think for people who review this as well, especially, women, like what kind of advice would you give them to, like, avoid certain things that you experience with this marriage? Is there some encouraging things you can even give to them? Like, I know you probably went through it in your mind again if you had to rewrite it, like for
Mhm.
somebody who may be going through this right now, because it's a lot of women that
Right,
deal with this, and they, like you said, it's the love, but at some point, where does it end or where does it break? Because it can end in a whole nother route. So
right.
what would you say to the viewers and the ones that will view this, to be able to encourage them and give them some pointers and guidance on what they should do?
Well, the first thing is I would tell them, um, look and listen to the red flags.
Hmm.
Because number one, when we first got married, or before we were going to get married, like I said, he had just gotten out of prison. And I literally planned our wedding before he came home. And we were married within a month of him coming home.
Wow.
And when I asked God, about marrying him, and God said, he told me to wait.
Hmm.
And in my mind, wait means you didn't say how long. So
Right.
you just said wait. You just say, okay, so I gave it a month, so I waited. So in my
Hmm.
mind, I kind of listened to God, kind of. But um, just look at your motive behind it. Why are you wanting to marry this person right away, especially if you see red flags and if God is giving you some type of uneasiness in your spirit? And then the other thing is to sit down and talk to somebody that you trust and get a second opinion. Now, with me, I did talk to my pastor, I talked to Bishop and Pastor Kim. And the thing about that was I still didn't listen because it was because you can still have wise counsel. And again, my motive behind everything I did was I wanted to be married. I was so, focused on just wanting to be married that I didn't listen. I had some people that agreed with us. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go with these people. But I had some other people that were saying, wait. So it's like, who do I listen to? And I said, okay, God, you're going to be with this. So I put God on and say, okay, God, you got me regardless to whatever we go through. You got me. But I would tell them to, again, look at your motive. If you're seeing red flags, if you're noticing that they have a past and they have a history, which all of us do. Don't get me wrong. I'm not negating that you should, or not saying that you should count someone out because of their past. Because if that's the case, we all be counted out. We all have some type of past. Correct. But there always is a check in our spirit, always. If we just stop and listen and talk to someone that will tell you the honest to God truth. And not just tell you something that you might want to hear or that's going to make you feel good, but that's going to tell you, you need to slow your roll. You need to take all of these things into consideration and get counseling. Get counseling. Definitely get counseling. Definitely get counseling.
Right. And I think a key thing, even that I heard you say, and this is my whole thing now after gaining the wisdom I have, is I truly believe and stand on now. If it's for me, if God says it's for me, I don't have to rush into it because I believe if it's made specifically for me, that it will eventually be mine. And I had to learn that the hard way, like we all did, because when you want something, you want it, and it's always easy to agree and take the advice of those that we want to hear go ahead, because
y'all look so good together.
Right. I know what that is. Oh, y'all are so couple. Y'all look so cute. And my intentions, even like I look at myself and hearing you, it's like if I would have just waited and followed what I felt in my spirit, I could have avoided a whole lot of hurt and pain. So that's a key thing right there. Is like you said, if you're going to seek for people to talk to, be prepared to take that advice. And like I said, if it's for you, trust me, it's yours, regardless of 30 days, 6 months, or a year. If it's meant for you to have, we will have it. And I think that's some great information and very helpful information to the women, even men, us men, don't be in a hurry, like you said.
Right.
Seek and discern. And I guarantee you, like I said, if it's meant for us, we will have it.
Right. Now I know you're supposed to be interviewing me, but I got a question for you. Now, you kind of hit on it, but from a man's perspective, because that's the thing that I wanted people to understand from the book, is that even though I wrote it from a perspective of a woman talking about her marriage, from a man's perspective, what did you get out of the book? Because it's not necessarily just looking at the relationship, but it also, I feel, can touch on any area of anybody's life as far as being lost, putting things out of perspective to the point where you lose who you are. You're putting so much emphasis on things and people to the point where you can't be all that God has called you to be. So is that something that you kind of, I guess, to ask you from a male perspective, just so people know that it's not a chick flick.
Oh yeah, yeah, most definitely. I truly think, especially with males, our mindsets are so different. It's so many things I've been trying to write to to help a woman understand the mind of a man.
Oh, I want that book. Give me that book right now.
Because it can be a lot. But I just think that men have to really, first of all, they have to be able to seek God and
Right.
and really be willing to change and know what they want. A lot of
That's
men really
good.
don't know what they want.
That's good.
And I do believe, I think at one point they do want true love and want to be able to love a woman unconditionally, but they have not yet dealt with the spirits and things within them to really love that woman and not embarrass that woman like they should. So you have to get to understand and know yourself before you
Right.
want to continue to attach to one, attach to another. That's why so many of you women, you go through so much because they have not fully been healed. And
Mhm.
that's what I like about, your book, because you let it out and you let people know, you can recover from the
Right.
wound and the hurt that you have experienced. And I think if we learn, even as men, to learn to really deal with our hurts and our
Yes.
pain and not think it's wimpy or we too soft for that, and not play with women's hearts and feelings. Because I always say, if somebody mom, sister,
Come on.
mom, sister, or daughter. And
Yes.
I tell people all the time, men especially when they like to talk, I say, you have a mother, you may have a sister, and you may have a daughter, but
Yes.
they will heal or hurt somebody that mistreat them. So I said, well, why do we treat women the way we do when that's
That's good.
somebody mother,
That's
daughter,
good.
or sister? I said, so we contradicting ourselves. So if we
Right.
learn, the main thing is when you put God first, everything else will follow behind that. So a lot of women date men that's not even trying to build a close relationship with God. If you're a
True.
Christian woman, I say, look here. If you ain't nowhere, have no desire to even want to
Come
build
on.
a relationship with God, that's a flag right there. Don't even waste
Exactly.
time. So
Exactly. Because if he can't love God, he can't love you properly.
right, right.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of signs, but again, I think that to make it short, if we learn to love ourselves and get to know who we are,
Mm.
then we will be able to love a woman unconditionally. Because I always say you don't love what you hurt.
Oh, that's good.
So, well, I'm gonna tell you, you don't hurt what you love. So that's the way it's supposed to go. Like if I love you, why I wouldn't hurt you. We love our mother, but we don't hurt. We love our children, but we don't hurt what we love. So
Not intentionally and repetitively.
right, right, and just keep doing it and doing it. And oh, I'm sorry, no, come on now. At some point, we got to grow up and understand what God has blessed us with the queens that He has placed in our midst with, which is
Right.
woman. And we don't realize that God created women to help us when Adam and Eve. So we got to appreciate what He has given us to help assist us.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
I'm just thankful, like I said, and I think with this book, people, you would get some great information and get to feel the hurt and pain and the struggle, but also get to see how to deal with the issues and how to find yourself, because it's not easy to go through loss and then you still lost and then you have to find yourself and all that.
Yeah.
And it's a blessing, and I'm just so thankful that you was obedient to write this and share your story and testimony with the world. And
Yeah.
we got to get to 1 million copies. Like I tell everybody, we got to push, and push, because people need to hear this, because it will set people free from the same situation or a similar situation. So again, I just expect everybody that views this and that will share it, just to be a support to Marietta, because I'm telling you, it will definitely bless your life. And you can I want you to share with them, even though it's applying across the screen, if you want people to know where to get the book from. And I know you have autographed copies where they can go. So go ahead and tell them where they can purchase the book, how much the book costs, and all that.
Oh, okay. If you want a autographed copy, you can go to my website, which is mariettamillsjones.com. And the books are $12, and I think the shipping is $2.45 or something like that. But if you go to the website, it'll be there. It is also available at Amazon, at Barnes
Mhm.
and Noble as well. So you can get that there also. And then there is going to be a part two to the
Oh,
book that's going to be coming out in January of 2021.
wow.
And what that book is going to do is, because this one kind of drew the picture
Hmm.
of everything that I went through. And so the one in January is going to take it from the victim mentality to victory, as far as what does victory now look like, as far as
Right,
walking it out. After you've gone through hell, what does it look like to come out on the other end? So
right,
that's what that one, that's not the title. I don't know what the title is going to be
right.
yet, but that's going to be probably the outline of what that book is going to be about as well. So
Oh,
all of that'll be on my website.
wow. So definitely follow Marietta Mills Jones on Facebook. Stay connected with her on Instagram. And again, you can get look $12, y'all. Come on, we know that's great. That's great seed to sow and to get a
Oh,
copy
bless you.
of this book, Married to an Addiction. And I tell you, um, if you want a signed copy, want to personalize, like you said, go to the website, MariettaMillsJones.com to go purchase it. And on Amazon and Barnes and Noble, you can as well get a copy. And I'm just thankful again for her sharing this platform and
Oh,
taking
thank
her
you.
time out to share her testimony with you guys. But my purpose again is to help individuals that I'm connected with to be able to share their gift that God has blessed them with. And I always say it takes a lot to be able to be an author and write a book.
Yeah.
It takes time, focus, and everything else. So I would appreciate it for all of you that are watching and logged in that would get this book. And if you missed some pointers on it, you can go back and review it, because I see a lot of you do view it. Thank you, Minister Adrian.
Oh,
Um, that was McCain. That's the guy who I interviewed, Eric McCain. His mom, she's such a blessing. She um, goes to our ministry, and it's crazy because one of my middle school friends, Danny, he's on here, um,
mhm.
and he's from Detroit. And it's funny.
What's up, though? What up,
All right,
though?
what up, though, Danny? I don't know if he's still looking, but if he is, man, God bless you. It's good to see you and see that you're still living. And I appreciate you for tuning in. Thank God for Deacon Horace. He's on here as well. But again, y'all know where to get the book. And again, share this interview. But I want you to support it. That's my main thing. I want you guys to support it and get
Yes.
copies of the book. Now, if I um, can get a couple of individuals. There you go. What's up? There you go. What up? What up, though?
Hey, Damon, yes, I did say what up, though.
Right, right,
My brother-in-law.
right. That's how we do. That's normally my
Y'all know
like.
that's
What up,
Detroit all
though?
day long. All day
Right.
long.
I love it. I love it. I want to and that you can do it how you want, because I'm a cash app you for 2 books and to give
Oh.
away to whoever inbox you on Facebook. So I want y'all to
Yeah, I have a lot of comments that I see here on Facebook. So. Yeah.
because I believe what you make happen for others, God will make happen for you. And and
Amen.
and I know Eric, he tried to give me books. I said, you ain't giving me nothing. I'm supporting you
Oh,
because I feel like $12, $20, we spend that at well, if you eat fast food, I don't really eat much no more. But if we
or
go
if you go
get
get your nails done, how
right,
about that?
exactly. Exactly. And I feel like we have too many friends on our networks, social media networks, that when it's time for us to celebrate our accomplishments, we don't do it the way we thought they would do it. But I just want us to let's break that cycle. Like we say, we support small business. And I believe this is a business because she's an author. She has books for sales. And part two is coming out that I'm excited about. So I want you to be able to be prepared for January 2021 and get the part two to this book. Whoever knows, it could be a movie or something. Marietta, I think she's the first one that typed up my screenplay.
I did.
And I remember me and Gandy's like, Marietta, you got that ready for us yet? So I
Yes.
appreciate you always was a help. And you never forget those who always helped and supported you when you were trying to do things. And so I really appreciate Marietta because she always, when we asked, even with our family, I think, we've known each other. I was, what, 16, 17, something like that. So you talking years.
Yeah, it's been about at least 26,
Yeah,
26 years.
yeah, around it. Well, yeah, 20, 26, 36.
Yeah, because Martha
Oh,
wasn't even born.
it's been almost 30 years.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
it's been almost 30
Yep,
years.
you're right. So that's a long time in a relationship,
Oh,
and
yeah.
especially to still have friends, even to see my friend Danny from middle school. It's a lot of my middle school friends I still see that's living and doing well, which is a blessing. And
Yeah.
so, again, thank you, and
Oh,
keep the blessing.
oh, thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank everybody. And I'm gonna respond to everybody's notes on here that responded on Facebook. But thank you guys. I have people from
And
Maryland and everything that's on here that I'm thankful for. So yeah.
oh well, good. I want make sure you let me know how. I know you say if you want to use the Cash App or not, so I can Cash App you. And whoever inbox you that want the free copy, I want to be a blessing to two, couple and the two people that would like the book because I know
Okay.
it would be a blessing to you. And or I don't know how we do. We'll talk about it. But
Okay.
I'll send you the
I'll make sure
money.
to pick two people.
Right, right. So again, people like, share, and the blessings of God and peace of God be with you. And once again, bless you, Marietta, bless your home, bless your
Thank
mom.
you.
We
Thank
speak
you. Thank you.
increase, overflow, and favor over your
I
life
receive it. I
because
receive it.
I truly believe God has so much in store for you because I believe his word when it said those who sow in tears will reap
Ah,
in
amen.
joy.
I receive that. Oh my gosh. I receive that. Thank you.
Amen. So
Yes, I
continue to
receive it.
push and continue to live and be happy. And this won't be our last time because I know you got so many more great things in store and ahead of you. So again, thank you. You have a blessed and wonderful night. And
Thank
till the
you. You
next
too.
time,
All
shalom.
right. All
Love
right.
you.
Love you.
All right.
All right.